Zoe revealed she was in a dating phase, but most men would cease contact if she didn't engage in sex after several dates. The night before finalizing my divorce, Amber made a final attempt to communicate via text. Jason, please reconsider the divorce.
I've undergone a transformation.
I understand what truly matters, and it's you. Please, I implore you, stop this. I found myself unable to formulate a response. If you have nothing nice to say, it's best to say nothing at all. The subsequent day marked the conclusion of my divorce from Amber. Later that evening, I received an email from Zoe suggesting, "Now that you're single again, feel free to reach out." I dialed the provided number, only to have a man answer. My heart sank. "Hello, is Zoe available?" I inquired. "I cannot comprehend how one day you discuss building a family and preparing for family life, and the next, without any guilt, engage in infidelity with a lover. It baffles me, my wife, an ordinary yet attractive woman like myself, initially shared my vision of establishing financial stability before starting a family to ensure our children's prosperity and needs were met. I've embraced this vision with my wife for the past few years, never imagining she could betray it with an affair and expect no consequences. I was enraged upon learning the complete truth. I am Jason Thompson, married to Amber. She's what some would describe as stunning, very attractive, and consistently dresses with elegance, albeit conservatively. I, however, am just an average-looking individual. Amber takes care to style her hair and apply makeup, even on her days off. She never appears without grooming herself meticulously. She's highly organized. I work in contract and proposal review, while Amber teaches English at a middle school. Her mode of transportation is a white Hyundai Elantra, which seems to be the unofficial vehicle of the public education system. There's a minor dent in the fender from when she accidentally bumped into my car, which coincidentally has a small dimple. Our paths first crossed during a college class in our junior year. We both had aspirations, mine centered on securing a good job and starting a family, while hers focused on achieving success through her own efforts. The summer after graduating, we tied the knot, and life was good. We seemed to have it all. Fast forward 8 years into our marriage, and as I returned home from work one evening, Amber greeted me wearing a robe. "Care to join me in the bedroom?" she asked, opening her robe. How could I refuse? Taking my hand, she led me to our bed, and the next hour became a blur for me. It was unforgettable. After our heart rates returned to normal, Amber declared, "Wait here. I've prepared dinner," and headed to the kitchen. She returned with a pizza and a pack of beer. We shared a few bites and drank beer. Then she inquired, "Jason, do you think it's time we started a family?" I smiled. We had previously discussed the possibility, but had felt the timing wasn't quite right. "What were you thinking about in November then?" "I could give birth during the school holidays." "Well, I think it's a great plan. Do you want to celebrate a little more?" She took my hint, and after that, we went on the second lap. After a short break, we went on the third and final lap. I enjoyed a very tranquil night's rest. "Hey, just a heads up, I have a book club gathering at 6 o'clock tonight, so dinner's in the microwave. Catch you later around 9:30, Amber said as she headed off to school. I felt a spring in my step at work. The thought of starting a family had me feeling excited, and since Amber's folks lived nearby, I called them during my lunch break and invited them over. "John, would you and Maggie be available to come over tonight? We have some exciting news to share. Amber's got a book club meeting and should be back around 9:30 p.m. Let me check with Maggie real quick," John responded. "Sure thing, we'll see you later tonight, around 3. I received an email that left me puzzled. "Meet at the garden and by 6 p.m. Your punctuality." The email sender remained unidentified to me. Attempting to focus on work proved futile as my curiosity consumed me. Thus, unable to concentrate, I navigated through rush hour traffic and arrived at the Garden Inn. I parked in an area void of cars and waited. It was just before 6 p.m., and a few more vehicles arrived, yet none were familiar to me. Imagine my astonishment when Amber's car pulled in across from mine. She emerged adorned in a stunning dress, a lovely blue ensemble I had not seen before. It was quite unexpected for her to choose this location for a meeting. Exiting my car, I locked it and took a few steps before freezing in shock. The man from the car beside hers stepped out, and she linked arms with him, giving him a brief kiss on the cheek. My head swam, my legs trembled, and my stomach churned. Sweating profusely, I leaned against my car and wretched. Gathering myself, I grabbed a floppy golf hat, a windbreaker, and sunglasses. Since she had never seen me on the golf course, hopefully, she wouldn't recognize me. I hurried into the lobby, where I spotted Amber in the lounge area while the man she was with checked in at the counter. I approached the display of brochures advertising hot air balloon rides, museums, and guided tours, pretending to browse. I discreetly took out my phone and activated the video function, using a brochure to conceal it. Glancing back at Amber, I felt a pang of disappointment as I saw her sitting with a six-pack and a pizza box. Once the jerk finished checking in, they headed for the elevators. I kept recording. As soon as they stepped into the elevator, I hurriedly made my way to the stairs. With only 4 floors, I figured I had a good chance of following them. Pausing briefly on the second floor, I realized they must have already left. I hurried on to the 3rd floor, just in time to catch sight of them walking away from me. They stopped a few rooms away from the end, and the jerk swiped his keycard. What a gentleman, holding the door for Amber as it closed behind them. I switched off my video and stood there pondering my next move. Eventually, I opted to anticipate a confrontation and return to the parking lot. A mischievous idea struck me. I took out my phone and dialed. "We're entitled to a complimentary tow if it's within mil. Hello, my wife's car won't start. Could you tow it to our house?" "How soon?" 20 to 30 minutes. "Excellent. I'll be waiting." I traversed the lot, got into my car, and positioned myself near Amber's car, awaiting the tow truck. Inside Amber's car, I noticed a duffel bag on the passenger seat. Curiosity piqued, I unzipped it to find a change of clothes and a tampon. Of course, she would appear quite conservative when she returned home. I had no inkling then. I stumbled upon a ring box, opened it, and found her wedding ring. I'm not sure what my blood pressure was, but it must have been dangerously high. I reached out to my friend Charlie, who's handy with repairs, for a big favor. "Hey, Charlie, it's Jason. Could you replace my door locks tonight?" "Yeah, dealing with some issues." "Perfect. I'll be there around 7. See you soon." Perhaps that jerk left his car unlocked. Well, let's find out. A car seat in the back indicated he had a wife and a young child. In the glove compartment, I discovered a registration card, Chad Bennett. I pocketed it and exited his vehicle. Charlie arrived. After exchanging pleasantries, they began towing Amber's car, loading it. It didn't take long. The tow truck drove off, and I headed home. We arrived simultaneously. It took a few minutes to park Amber's car. After tipping the guy, he drove away. Once the tow truck was gone, I opened her garage door, drove her car inside, and parked it. Then I brought the duffel bag indoors and tossed it on the couch. I had approximately 2.12 hours left before she returned from the book club. I gathered the box of leaf bags and large trash sacks and headed to her closet. After a few trash sacks, her closet was cleared. Then I moved to her dresser, dumping her undergarments and jewelry into more sacks. The bathroom came next, where all the makeup, perfumes, and soaps were dumped into yet another sack. One by one, I carried the sacks down to the garage and piled them into the back seat of Amber's Elantra, which didn't have much space in the back seat. Charlie arrived and began changing the locks. He recommended resetting the garage door openers too, so now only my opener would work. After paying Charlie, I poured myself a glass of water and took a quick shot of scotch. It was close to 9 p.m., and things were about to get messy. With a few minutes to spare, I took out our joint credit cards, called in, and reported them stolen. I retrieved the registration slip and looked up the address. Brad and Christy were listed as the owners. I'll need to inform Christy of what I found. A little after 9, my phone rang. It was Amber. "Hello, Jason. My car has been stolen." Her voice was trembling and frantic. "Actually, Amber, I had it towed to the house. Why don't you have Chad give you a ride?" "Oh no. Oh God." I ended the call. My heart was pounding. My palms were sweaty. The doorbell rang. Who could be here at this hour? Oh no, it was John and Maggie. I forgot about inviting them earlier today. This was about to get interesting. "John, Maggie, please come in. Can I offer you something to drink?" Amber just called, and I expect her to arrive shortly. They settled on the couch. I handed John a beer. I was nervous, and it was evident that it wasn't Chad who arrived, but a taxi that pulled up and dropped off Amber. She hurried up the sidewalk and attempted to use her key when that failed. She rang the doorbell. I allowed her entry. Her mascara was smudged, indicating she had been crying. Before Amber could explain, she was interrupted by Jason. "I'm so sorry, Mom, Dad. What are you doing here?" Maggie asked concernedly. "Sweetheart, what's wrong? Are you okay?" I interjected. "Amber, I called your parents around noon today and informed them that we had a significant announcement for them." Continuing, I explained, "Last night, Amber and I were spending time together as a married couple." She brought up, "Continuing further," I said. Then Amber went downstairs, grabbed some pizza and beer, and we had dinner in bed afterward. She asked, "Jason, do you think we could start a family, maybe in a few months, so I could give birth between school years?" Maggie exclaimed, "Amber, that's fantastic." I interrupted her loudly, "Wait, that's not all." Around 6 o'clock in the evening, I discovered that Amber was romantically involved not only with me but also with other men. "Amber," Jason intervened, "we need to discuss this in private. Let's not do this now, I beg you." Ignoring her plea, I stated firmly, "Therefore, she is either doing this for money or having affairs on the side and making her loving husband look like a cuckold, and I refuse to stay married to her." "Whatever it is," Amber fell to her knees sobbing. "John," I interjected, "I have a video here. Let's watch it together. Does that outfit seem familiar?" "Okay." He's checking in. She's waiting. "Oh, look. She has pizza and beer for him, too." They're heading towards the elevator. Nothing on the second floor. There they are on the third floor. He's holding her door. "Am I jumping to conclusions, John? So you're a woman of easy virtue?"
Amber, John intervened, "Daddy, no."
John persisted. "So you have lovers?" Amber remained silent, now sobbing heavily. "Where's your wedding ring, Amber?" I inquired. "It's at the jeweler's for cleaning," she replied. "Really?" "Swear on your mother's grave," I challenged. "Sorry, Maggie." Amber realized she had been caught. "Maggie, could you open that duffel bag and find the ring?" I requested. "You see, that's the change of clothes she takes with her to deceive me." Maggie retrieved the ring box, opened it, then rose and walked across the room to Amber. As Amber extended her hand, Maggie delivered a firm slap to her face. "How could you?" Maggie exclaimed. Amber was now sobbing uncontrollably. "Jason, what's the next step?" I inquired. "I've packed all her belongings, and they're loaded into her car. The locks are changed, credit cards canceled." "She's gone," Jason declared. Amber protested. "No, no, no. I want to stay with you, Jason. I love you. I still want your baby. That's never going to happen. Please leave now," I snapped back. "I'm not leaving," she insisted. Jan rose from his seat, approached Amber, seized her purse, and then gripped her ear tightly, refusing to release it, dragging her to her feet as she screamed in agony. He guided her to the garage and directed her to her car. "Get in and leave." "You're not welcome here," Jan ordered. Dazed, Amber sank into her car seat, resting her head on the steering wheel. John remained unmoved, rapping on the window. "Go! Leave now!" She started the engine and reversed out. John, Maggie, and I observed from the porch as she departed slowly. We embraced each other, promising to stay in contact. They apologized for their daughter, but I reassured them it wasn't necessary, as it was all Amber's doing. I secured the house, poured myself a glass of scotch, and collapsed onto the couch. Tears streamed down my face as I drifted into sleep. The following day passed in a haze. Amber withdrew cash from the ATM, and I depleted our account by settling our credit card balances through electronic payments. I contacted HR to alter the destination of my paycheck and reached out to friends to locate a lawyer for drafting divorce papers. Driving to Christie's place, I noticed Chad's absence. Knocking on her door, I introduced myself as Jason, explaining my connection through our spouses. I presented a rather damning video to Christie, who watched intently. "When was this recorded?" she inquired. "Last night, around 6 p.m., I replied. I confronted my wife when she returned around 9:30, and she didn't deny it. I suspect this has been ongoing, but I lack concrete evidence. What's your plan? Christy asked. I asked her to leave last night and just left my lawyer's office, who's preparing the divorce papers. Can you share your lawyer's contact details? She requested. Of course, let me grab a pen and paper, I offered. Amber attempted to call multiple times, but I ignored them, allowing the calls to go to voicemail. She sent a text, Jason, I need to access the house to retrieve my computer and school records. Can we please talk? I dreaded facing her and felt my palms grow sweaty at the thought. With a smirk, I responded, let's aim for 9:30 p.m. as I have a book club meeting. I spent the evening at a sports bar, attempting to avoid getting too intoxicated. A glass of scotch on the rocks gave me the courage to face this meeting. Upon arriving home around 9:20 p.m., I pulled into the garage and shut the door. Amber was waiting in her car. Without a word, I opened the front door. Amber, dressed casually in sweats with no makeup, had her hair pulled back into a ponytail. Are you ready to talk? She inquired. I simply shook my head. I had no intention of giving her the opportunity to deliver her rehearsed speech. She wandered into the bedroom, then into the spare room we used as an office, gathering some belongings. It took her a few trips to collect everything she needed. Each time she re-entered the house, she asked, Are you ready to talk yet? Each time, I just shook my head. Finally, Amber couldn't contain herself any longer. Jason, I love you. You're the only one I've ever loved. I've made a huge mistake. I believe we can work this out. Will you please give me a chance? I want you. I need you. Please say something. I retorted, You'll never comprehend the impact this has had on me. My lawyer is preparing the divorce papers, and you'll be served either tomorrow or over the weekend. Tears slid down her cheeks, her lip trembling. Jason, I don't want a divorce. Please, can't we figure this out? You can ask me anything. I promise to be truthful from now on and never give you reason to doubt my love. Amber, there's only one question I have, and only I can answer it. How could I have misjudged you so completely? You should go, I said, my eyes misting over with tears streaming down her face. Amber left, but not before pleading, Please think about it. I want you and only you. One glass of scotch wouldn't suffice. A few days later, while sorting through my emails, I stumbled upon the one that exposed the affair. I replied, Thank you. I owe you more than you could ever imagine. You're a guardian angel. I spent the evening contemplating the possibilities. Who alerted me and for what reason? Eventually, I concluded it must have been someone affiliated with Amber's workplace. I located a florist and arranged for a lovely bouquet of roses to be sent to Amber's school, addressed to the teacher's lounge, with a note reading from my guardian angel, Thank you. The next evening, I received an email from my mystery benefactor. The flowers are beautiful. Thank you. And you're welcome, to whoever you are. Thank you. I'm eager to meet you, I replied. A few days later, I decided to extend an invitation via email. I'd like to treat you and your partner to dinner as a small token of appreciation. The longer I stayed in the house, the more convinced I became that I needed to sell it. There were too many painful memories. Life was a struggle with emotions ranging from anger to self-pity. However, each day seemed a little brighter. I started to regain productivity at work, though I noticed people treating me as if I were contagious. I suppose I was a bit short-tempered with others. About a week after sending my email to my mysterious benefactor, I received a brief response, Never married. Given my recent failure to interpret women's signals, I decided to sleep on how best to reply. In the morning, I arranged for more flowers to be sent to the teacher's lounge, along with a note that said, Dinner, any day, any time, any place, any takers? It felt like a therapeutic distraction that I desperately needed. I eagerly awaited a response. Gradually, my colleagues at work started connecting with me again. One day during lunch, someone gathered the courage to ask, Is it too soon to talk about it? Not really, I replied to the few who listened. She was having an affair, and I've initiated divorce proceedings. I need to get back to work. I'll be okay. Your support means a lot to me, I added as I left the lunchroom. My wait ended on Friday afternoon when I received an email from my angel saying, The flowers are beautiful. Oscars at 6 p.m. on Saturday. Dress casual. Pink Rose. I had never heard of Oscars before, but a quick internet search revealed it to be in a city about 40 miles away. Clearly, she didn't want to be seen with me. A smile played on my lips. I decided to wear my floppy golf hat, sunglasses, and a windbreaker. I really needed this. I was so thrilled that I spent Saturday afternoon shopping near Oscars. I purchased a dozen pink roses. A silver Elantra pulled up, and a woman with a pink rose in her hair emerged and entered. I found her in the restaurant and asked, "Are these perhaps for you?" "Yes, they're beautiful. Please join me." "My name is Jason, mine's Zoe," she replied. "Nice to finally meet you. You can remove your disguise if we get spotted here. It was meant to be." "It's my pleasure to meet you, Zoe. Just so you know up front, this is our only meeting until your divorce is final. I don't date married men. My world has a certain order to it, and that's how it will be." I'm okay with that too. It's way too early for me to figure out what's happening in my head and my heart, so let's call this a fact-finding meeting. That way, you're not on a date. No harm there. We ordered drinks, followed by dinner, then dessert and coffee. Zoe appeared to be in her mid-20s, much like myself, with an average appearance. We engaged in casual conversation about various topics. After dinner, as we sat with our coffee, I gathered the courage to ask, "How did you know, and why did you let me know?" Zoe took a sip, then set her cup down and placed her hand over mine. "One day while grading papers, I saw Amber emerge from the teacher's restroom carrying a duffel bag and dressed to impress, which was out of character for her at school. Knowing she often spoke of you, I assumed you two were planning a special evening. However, when I remembered her taking a call from you during lunch, where she mentioned attending the book club again, it didn't line up with the picture. As I mentioned earlier, my world operates on a certain order, and this situation just didn't fit. I fell behind but ended up stuck in traffic behind her, so I followed her to the garden. Some guy approached her in the parking lot around 6 p.m. the day I sent you an email. I observed her placing the same duffel bag in her desk. Your name and email were easy to find since they're on the teacher emergency contact list. I avoided using my school email address, given Amber's organization. I assumed she'd meet at the same place and time, which turned out to be true. Since I have to work with these people, I need to keep my identity hidden, at least for now. I never intended to cause you harm. I gestured with my hand, sending her a silent kiss. The message stung, but I know it's not the messenger's fault. Thank you. I'll leave first. Thank you for the roses. I never had the chance to take the others home, she remarked as I settled the bill. Zoe chimed in. You caught me off guard. My heart raced a bit when the first flowers arrived, and it was even more intense with the second batch. You're quite smooth. Oh, and just so you know, there were at least half a dozen women, even some married ones, who would have accepted your dinner invitation. Miss Zoe, I'd like to propose meeting for dinner again, perhaps a few months from now. I'd like that. Good night, she replied as she exited the restaurant. She was incredibly easy to converse with. On Monday, I sent pink roses to the teacher's lounge along with a note that said, "It couldn't have been any better." That night, I received an email saying, "You don't play fair." Things were gradually finding a balance with fewer and less frequent mood swings. A couple of weeks later, I sent pink roses to the teacher's lounge again, with a message that read, "Please remember me." Later that evening, I received a one-word email, "Unforgettable." Oh, that weekend, while reviewing contracts in my apartment, my phone rang from a private number. "Hi, Jason. It's Zoe. Am I interrupting anything?" "Well, I'm just channel surfing and can't seem to find anything to watch, so I suppose I can stop and chat with you," she giggled. "Good to hear your voice. How are you holding up?" "I'm doing okay. What brings you home on a Saturday night?" "I thought you'd have a line of people waiting to date you." "Well, keep thinking that. How are things with Amber?" "I haven't spoken to her since the day after she moved out. She tries calling, but I let it go to voicemail. She sends a couple of text messages each day. I'm eager for the divorce to be finalized. The lawyers have worked out a settlement. I suppose I'm technically still married, so I'm surprised to get this call. I don't date married men. This is just a welfare check. No harm in talking to a married man who's going through with his divorce." We continued our conversation for another 20 minutes. As we bid each other good night, I mentioned, I have a challenging week ahead and might appreciate you checking next weekend. Really? Well, I'll consider it. Good night, Zoe replied before hanging up. She's such an easy person to talk to. The following week, she called again, and in subsequent conversations, I got to know her better. She shared that during her sophomore year of college, she discovered her boyfriend, Jeff, cheating on her with her roommate. They had been together since high school. She recounted how he dismissed it with, "Hey, I'm a guy. It doesn't affect us." She broke up with him immediately and hadn't pursued a serious relationship since. It turned out we had a lot in common. I inquired of her. It appears this occurred half a dozen years ago, and your security fences are still quite high. Is this what lies ahead for me as well? After a brief silence, she replied, I don't believe so. It seems to me that you still have a lot of love to offer someone. Someone will persuade you to give it another try. I had attended several gatherings, but felt uneasy with the attention from those who were soon to be single. I simply wasn't interested yet. Zoe mentioned she was dating, but most men would stop calling when she didn't have sex with them after a few dates. On the eve of my divorce being finalized, Amber attempted one last time to reach out via text. Jason, please halt the divorce. I've changed. I comprehend what truly matters, and it's you. Please, I beg you, stop this. I couldn't find the words to reply. If you can't say anything nice, don't say anything at all. The following day, my divorce from Amber was finalized. That evening, I received an email from Zoe saying, now that you're single again, you can call me. I dialed the number she provided, only to have a man pick up. My heart sank. Hi, is Zoe available? I asked. Zoe, it's your phone, the man shouted. Hello? Zoe said. Hi, this is Jason. Is this a bad time? I can call back later. No, why do you ask? Well, a guy answered, Zoe giggled. Calm down. I live at home. That's my dad, I sighed. Wow, my heart dropped when he answered, Zoe replied. That's sweet, Zoe said. Well, don't you have a mean streak? No, it means you care about me more than you've let on. I like that, I said. You got me there, caught red-handed, Zoe said. It's pretty clear I still have some issues to work on. Not a problem. I'm up for the challenge, I said. We arranged a dinner for the following evening, which quickly became a twice-weekly occurrence. Over the course of several more months, we went on numerous dates each week. During one of our outings, Zoe inquired, Is Amber still attempting to reach out to you? I retrieved my phone, located the message thread with Amber, and passed it to Zoe. She remained silent for several minutes, scrolling through over 100 text messages. Amber used these messages as a sort of diary, updating me on various aspects of her life. Updates on John and Maggie, progress with her counseling, and updates on her colleagues. Zoe's eyes welled with tears as she remarked, Jason, I can feel her anguish. She truly loves you. If you think about it long enough, it makes sense, I responded. I'm still the Jason she fell in love with and married, but the Amber I loved and married is gone. This Amber can never take her place. I've moved on, Zoe pressed further. Why didn't you ever respond to any of these messages? I didn't want to give her any false hope of us reconciling, I admitted. I had never imagined finding someone so soon after my divorce, but now I know that I want Zoe to be my wife. Still grappling with expressing my feelings, I once again resorted to gestures. I sent a dozen pink roses to the teacher's lounge along with a tag that read, I think I love you. The following day filled me with apprehension. Had I spoken too soon? What if her response wasn't what I hoped for? Shortly after lunch, my phone buzzed with a text from Zoe, I know I love you. About a week later, I finally made a decision and sent another dozen pink roses to the teacher's lounge. As the teachers began to gather for lunch in the lounge, the school secretary entered holding the bouquet of flowers. Ladies, we have another bouquet for someone, she announced. Katie, one of the single teachers, eagerly rose from her seat and opened the accompanying envelope. Oh my, listen to this. Will you marry me? She exclaimed. The room erupted into a collective gasp. If whoever these are meant for won't marry him, I will. So give me his name and number. Zoe couldn't contain her excitement and stood up to claim the roses from Katie. These are for me. Thank you, Zoe declared. The murmur of voices grew louder with disbelief. The Ice Princess? No way. Who is he? Katie asked. Zoe. Really? That's incredible, Katie interjected. Wait, all this time, they've been for you? Who's the lucky guy? Zoe replied, Jason Thompson, Amber's Jason. Not anymore. Now he's Zoe's Jason. Wow, Amber is going to freak out, Katie predicted. While I was having lunch at my desk, my secretary knocked on the door and inquired, Are you busy? No, what's up? Zoe burst into the room holding roses and exclaimed, Yes, yes, yes. Look. But before rushing into my arms, Amber left school early that day due to illness and remained absent for several days. Later, she applied for a transfer to another school, and our text exchanges ceased. Throughout our acquaintance, Zoe and I cuddled and shared kisses. I was reluctant to disrupt the harmony. One Sunday, while we were embracing and watching a movie, Zoe suddenly asked, Do you miss being close? Of course, but if I get too hung up on it, it will cause conflicting emotions, I replied. I'm nervous, Jason. I'm afraid I might disappoint you in bed, Zoe admitted. I'm not worried at all. I will do my best to please you, and I know that you will do the same for me, I assured her and began to indulge in passion. We had a wonderful night, and after that, we started seeing each other more and more often. Experiencing intimacy with her was incredible, though she seemed inexperienced in bed. It worked to my advantage. Thanks to her, I realized I had a bright future ahead. We had a small wedding ceremony since Zoe's parents couldn't afford much. After the wedding, while going through a box of wedding cards, we stumbled upon a postcard from Amber bearing the message, My love for you will endure. Zoe remarked, I should send her roses as gratitude for giving you to me. I shook my head. I strive never to cause harm intentionally. After a moment's reflection, Zoe approached, enveloped me in a tight embrace, and kissed me, affirming, You're right. I married a wonderful man. I am the proud father of a daughter named Z and a son named Jay. Zoe consistently extends the invitation, You're always welcome to accompany me, regardless of her activities. While she participates in the book club, we hold it at our home, eliminating the need for travel. Even after several years, my days remain consumed by work. By chance, we encountered Amber at the supermarket. Z walked beside me, holding onto my finger, while Zoe carried Jay. Amber, you look wonderful. How have you been? I inquired. Hello, Jason. Zoe, it's delightful to see you both, Amber replied. He truly takes after you, Jason remarked. Amber, Zoe interjected. I heard you've been promoted to deputy director. Congratulations. Thank you. It keeps me busy. The previous director lacked organization, Amber responded. Well, I must be going, Amber bid farewell, attempting to hold back tears. Observing the absence of rings on her fingers, I realized she must still be single. It dawned on me that we had both attained our desires. 12 years ago, I gained a son and a daughter, while she achieved success through her own efforts. Life's twists are indeed ironic. And that concludes the story. We welcome your thoughts in the comments section below. If you found this content helpful, feel free to share it with your friends and family. Additionally, since YouTube's algorithm favors videos with numerous likes, if you enjoyed this video, a simple click on the like button would greatly assist our podcast in reaching a wider audience. Subscribing to the channel for notifications whenever new content is uploaded is also highly recommended. YouTube will keep you informed accordingly. Many thanks for your support, and have a fantastic day.